So what are your options? This is my public service announcement to everyone, right? This is how you should kind of operate. It's going to be different for everyone. It's going to be the choices of, do you shelter in and kind of wait it out, or do you try to get the hell out of there? You bug out, what they call it, do you shelter in? If you live here, at this place, I'm saying stay there. Pretty good. As long as you got enough food, maybe you got a satellite dish and a generator. Hey, I'm playing Xbox all day. I wrote an article on my blog that I'm actually pretty proud of, because I asked many people, and some of them tend to be younger students, what would you do if there were zombies? And almost every single one of them, going to Walmart. I'm like, good luck. I'll never see you again. Unless you're a zombie, then I'm just going to shoot you. This is the worst thing. The idea about preparation is beforehand. Because once something happens, as we know, it's already too late. We've experienced lots of hurricanes here, and we know that once anybody hears the word hurricane and Gulf, all hell breaks loose, and everybody freaks out, and just, you can't go buy anything. Everything's gone. You can't find grape soda, nothing. It's all gone. And it angers me. Because this happens. Nothing. Now, at first, when I saw the spirit, I'm like, who the hell's living with all these buns behind? That's food. Go get those. There's absolutely nothing on the shelves. I've been here for Hurricane Rita, which of course did not really kind of come this way, but everybody thought it did. And at the time I was in Huntsville, which is pretty far north. And I'm like, okay, we're good. And I like freaked out when I drove out in town because it was just flooded with people. People were getting in fights. You couldn't go get water. Luckily they had beer. So I could go and get that. But the town was overrun with people. It was unbelievable. During Ike, things were a little bit better in terms of evacuation. People didn't trip out nearly as bad. But where I was up in Conroe at the time, we were out of power for so many days. And that really kind of got me started. I'm like, you know what? How many of us, I'm so attached to my stupid cell phone. How long could I really be comfortable 7 days, 14 days? And I go camping all the time. I love the outdoors, but it's kind of one of those things like you really love your gadgets, you love your TV, and it's the summer, you love your air conditioner. You have to have one. So it really got me thinking during that time period, how can I be more prepared for hurricanes? And then I just tacked on zombies, and then my brain just went nuts. And I'm like, I'm prepared for zombies. I'm prepared for everything. I'm ready. If I could get a passport to St. Kitts or something, we're up and rolling. The biggest thing I think for sheltering in is your community. For some reason, whenever we think about the zombie apocalypse, everybody's like, I'm going to get my gun, I'm just going to blow everything away. And you're thinking more of an individualistic look. There's something so American, maybe it's Texan, about just being, I'm going to be the hero, I'm going to blast all these zombies in the face, and I'm going to just be rocking out, to Guns N' Roses and just whatever, Skinner. Maybe you got some classical music kicking in the background, I don't know, right? But it's going to be community, and one of your last speakers, Mark Bordenbergen, your Meriwether Able Plans guy, he actually wrote a really good article in Popular Mechanics about Hurricane Ike and how him and some other people in his community really got together and cleaned everything up and had grills and barbecues and kept everybody in really good spirits. And I really believe that for any disaster that we have to deal with, that's kind of the best approach to go through, is to kind of sit here with your community. Because you can't really survive on your own. As much as we would like to believe it, we're not that type of species. We never have been. So the 3 threes of survival: Starbucks, cell phone, and beer, right? Although I would love to believe that was the case, it's actually a little bit more than that. If you were dealing with kind of extreme environments, and you talk to a lot of military vets, they know this forwards and backwards. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter. Now that's more of an extreme environment. Here in Texas, I'm like, I'll just go nude because it's so hot in the summer. I can survive probably a few weeks like that. 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food. So your biggest thing is getting water in those first couple of days. And I always tell people, you've got to be prepared ahead of time. You can't just run to Walmart and pick everything up you need. You need to be purchasing these things now and have them on hand, okay? Because there is no running out to the corner store unless you want to potentially encounter some crazy people. And most of you know, living in Texas, there's a lot of crazy people. And if you don't know any crazy people, you're that crazy person. Okay, okay, there you go. See, you know. For me, for example, I actually do have quite a bit of storage of water, but I can make really clean water. I've got a lot of tablets and UV lights and stuff that I can use, whether I'm at home or I have to go to purify water. And this is one thing that I've actually written in my book. It's plan, 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 and then be ready to change that plan. People get so hung up with sticking to the plan that it can actually blind you in the right choices you need to make. So I'm kind of the mindset, have a plan, that's great, but realize the chances of that plan going off without a hitch is probably not going to happen. So just accept that now and have a couple different backup plans. The basics to any survival, you can find it in any book. Food, fire, water, shelter, security, that's kind of your standard concept of surviving. You've really got to kind of have those things in mind when you're preparing to maybe shelter in for a week or two, and hopefully the zombies won't find you during that time period. The Red Cross kind of gives you a list of things that you can have. I say it's a good list. I think it's a really good list. If you're sheltering in from zombies and you need to have all your foods, medications, all that stuff, you don't want to venture out. You don't want to venture out if you don't have to. So the biggest thing that I see on here, they're all great things to have. Sanitation, personal hygiene items. When all hell breaks loose, sometimes money isn't good anymore. The two biggest things to trade, alcohol. Everybody loves to trade alcohol. Feminine products. Very good trade item. Very good trade item. So single guys, go buy tons of them. Okay? You can trade that out for alcohol or something. Right?
Or something.
I can go with you to buy them though because of picking.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Don't buy the cheap stuff.
Word of advice right there. Hi, Colin. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure if you're a camper, you have a propane stove and a good supply of propane.
I do.
I have made coffee for the neighborhood before on my propane stove.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I've got propane grills. I've got the little backpacking propanes. Oh yes.
Yeah, just bring it out
It's
inside.
very clean.
The little propane bottles do work great inside.
Yes. And the nice thing about your natural gases is there's no smoke, so you can't give away your position as to where you are. Always make your house look like somebody's actually already been in it. I found this online. I just thought it was kind of funny. House rules in case of the zombie apocalypse. I know it's a little bit difficult to read kind of on this wall. Gather essentials upstairs and destroy staircase. Actually not a bad idea for any type of zombie you deal with. Don't be a hero. I totally agree with that one. Fill all available containers with water while still available. Your water heater, excellent source of water. But you have to think, if the infrastructure shuts down when everybody's a zombie, nobody's cleaning your water anymore. So you can't drink that. As soon as everything hits the fan, fill up your tub full of water. Fill up your sinks. You can use the toilet water, not the front side, the water at the back. The water at the back, not the front. Okay? Blackout windows, keep lights off, keep quiet. That's a really good one. One person must be on the lookout at all times. Be prepared to bug out at any moment. I wholeheartedly believe with that one. Do not answer the door. Yeah. Zombie comes knocking, they're like, yes, can I help you? Be sensible with supplies, they are finite. Things to remember, aim for the head or you're dead. With my zombie, I don't necessarily believe that. I think any body wound will eventually kill them because they are technically still human. Zombies cannot be reasoned with. Maybe it used to be your aunt, but it's not anymore. And that's something that a lot of zombies films kind of touch on. Is that's kind of the drama is you're having to shoot someone or kill someone that's very close to you. For my friend, it doesn't matter. Either way. Okay? If you're bitten, it's game over. Well, I kind of disagree with that. Here's some things that I like to point out about sheltering in. The nice thing about sheltering in is you're not burning energy, you're out of sight. If you have store of resources, you're good, and you actually have some mental stability because you're familiar with your home. This is where you live. You sit there and you protect it. Okay? when you're off on the go, you might end up in some very strange situations, and mentally that is extremely draining. You will burn a lot of calories just with your brain trying to think of ways to get out of what's going on. Build, build, build. Barricade yourself in. I'm a big fan of taking off all the interior doors, putting them on the exterior doors so that nobody can get in. As crazy as it might have sounded at the time, sealing off doors with duct tape and plastic actually is not a bad idea during some type of biological issue. Now, if it's radioactive, enjoy your time. You don't have to. Nothing's really going to help. I don't think getting in an old refrigerator like Indiana Jones is going to work for us, but we can try. So use any interior wood, interior doors to try to barricade yourself in, as well as trying to keep any of your doors and windows sealed, because if it's more something that's viral, that is airborne, like my personal zombie, anybody that comes up to your door, I mean, they're leaving behind viruses. It's airborne. Turn off your air conditioner if you still have power. That's a big one. If you looked at any of the federal disasters, something happens, say in Houston, Texas, say a dirty bomb or something along those lines go off, the first thing you're supposed to do is batten down the hatches and turn off your air conditioner, because you don't want to be bringing in air from the inside, which I know your air conditioner doesn't, but it creates a vacuum, so you start turning it off and on. Now, houses are getting extremely energy efficient, so we're kind of trapping ourselves in, so it's not too big of a worry anymore. But if you do live in an older home, that's definitely something to take into account. Bugging out, your other option. Sometimes not the best. This is from the hurricane.
I was going to say, I was up.
You were up here?
Yeah, I was up there. Yeah.
We now have, as you said, we do have contraflow now. Yay! Okay? But at one time, I mean, you can just imagine the millions of people trying to get out of Houston. This gets crazy. Yeah, just trying. This is a Friday afternoon, actually. I had a friend of mine who lived in Galveston during Rita, and he was supposed to be driving up to Huntsville. Unfortunately, he was on the shift that they had to stay when the hurricane was coming through, but because it was shifting courses, the doctors released him. So he got a late start. It took him 24 hours just to get from Galveston to Tomball. 24 hours. And I was like, dude, you just need to stop somewhere. He almost ran out of gas. He had to turn his car off and on. He just slept when he could. It was very taxing mentally. So that is very, very difficult. This is why whenever I say and think of bugging out, you really got to know what you're doing, because you don't want to get stuck here. Because when you have something like a zombie apocalypse, within the first couple of days, you don't have to worry about zombies. You've got to worry about all these other idiots. You've got to worry about other people. Okay? So hopefully you trust your neighbors. Or if they're zombies, you just might as well shoot them. Bugging out may be a better option for you if you can. Move away from the outbreak. Maybe to go get more resources. You just need to get out of there. Or you need to move potentially to a safer area. During Ike, we actually stayed for quite a few days. But then, of course, it got a little bit warm, so we decided, forget this. We're going somewhere where there's air conditioning. Luckily, a friend of mine had a generator, so we just kind of hung out with them. A few tips for bugging out. One, know where you're going. You have to know where you're going. And you need maps. You need maps, because your cell phone may not work anymore because everybody's on it. So you need to have these beforehand. Relying on GPS or your cell phone may not necessarily work in these situations because the towers are overloaded. Or if there's no power, they're not going to be working either. Okay? Stay out of sight. Be sure you carry water and food, and beware of authorities. Not in the sense that if you see a police officer that you know that they're going to go crazy or anything, but during these times of crises, it is not uncommon. You might have heard reports of this, where people will pretend or dress up like police officers in order to access your resources. So that is something to be highly aware of when you're traveling on the road. And of course, safety in numbers is always pretty good. In terms of, say, your personal zombie apocalypse team. If you don't have one, get one. Right? Start now. So, what would you put in your bug out bag? We call them bobs. I thought about bringing mine, but I had so much stuff in it, I'm like, maybe that would be overkill. For me, personally, my top 5 And you can, it's going to depend. I mean, maybe you need certain medications or along those lines. You have to put something in there. Water, food, a map, first aid, and socks. A couple of socks.
Do you have pets?
I do. You also bring pet food. Yes. If you have a pet, you've got to get those guys.
If you have cats, you need more than pet food. Dogs go on a leash, and
This is true.
I bought one of the carriers that will hold the shoebox litter pan. It's the plastic shoebox litter pan in the back. They're big enough. And slip on waterproof bowls for each one. And I had one available for every cat in my house put together if I should.
Well, then you're ready to go.
And I'm
Excellent.
set now.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll never have to get cats.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I'm just making sure. You would put passport and other important forms of identification put there, or does that not make it because you're like, this is an emergency bag?
I think, yeah. I mean, I personally, I do have that. These are, if I just had to go at a moment without anything packed, I have all this packed already. I would just grab those. Socks to me are very important. If you've ever hiked, you know that having dry socks will make your day or break your day. You have to have socks. I love socks. Being out in the field, a lot of the biologists, you just bring socks, half your bag of socks. So, of course, there is more to this. Absolutely, there's more to this. Okay, so for example, what FEMA kind of looks at, 2 weeks supply of water during a pandemic if you cannot get to a store, blah, 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 blah. You've got to have extra supplies on hand. Carrying water sucks because it's heavy. So you need to be able to get water on the go. You need to learn how to purify water or have tablets or UV light, something along those lines. So that if you're on the go, you can access water, because carrying lots of water is not fun at all. This is another one. Prescription drugs is a big deal. If you leave and you don't have drugs, well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. That could be very, very detrimental. I even asked some students, because I gave a talk like this last year. I said, talk with family members and loved ones about how they would be cared with. And somebody in the audience said, sorry, Grandma's just going to have to stay where she's at. And I'm like, you won't go help Nana? You got to go help Nana. So make sure that your family is also prepared. Now, the thing that I've done personally, I actually have an emergency evacuation packet that I give to my family members so that if I can't get in touch with them, they know exactly where I'm going, they know which road I'm going down, and they know when I'm expected to get there. And they have phone numbers to those places, because those places hopefully will be out of the way of anything that kind of occurs.